Hello everyone, this is Gayle, and yes, I'm still working with scrap. I'm sorry, I just have so much scrap, and this is scrap left from all the different canes that I made the last few weeks. So I went from having a big bunch of scrap to just this amount of scrap here. But I think I'm going to try to use some of this up. So I've got some scrap in some blues, some reds, and some greens. And what I'm going to try to do, or what I'm going to do, this one is kind of a conglomeration, but it looks like all metallic or pearl clays. So I'm going to put this in just for a little bit of shine. But I'm going right back to the way I started most of my others, and that's by chopping up these canes. Now these canes, these pieces don't have to be quite as small as the others. Just, you know, you don't want to have big chunks. Like, you don't want something like this, but something like this is fine for what we're going to do. And let me just chop some of this up. You can see it's not a science. But those are my pearl clays. This is kind of already a little muddy, so I'm probably going to chop this one up a little bit more so that some of these other colors will come out. And then I have this one, which is the end, the end of my rose cane. I do believe this is the last piece of that I have left. May have to do another rose cane. But just to kind of brighten up this red a little bit. And let me just chop up this blue. You can see I'm not taking a lot of time. I'm just trying to break up some of these big pieces. And because these scraps are variegated anyway, they're not solid, they don't have to be chopped quite so much. This is well, I've got this one. I don't know if I'll use that one. I've got that one out because it had some white in it. Because it really helps to have white in your scrap, like over here, just for some contrast. Let me just see how this is going to look. I'm just going to take this now and just mix it all up together. Whoops. Try not to throw it on the floor like I just did. Not sure where that went. Better open my drawer. It's funny, I've got this is the top of a built-in desk, which is very shallow. But this drawer on the front, I usually lay a paper towel in it and leave it open, and it kind of catches all those little pieces. Now this probably could use some more white. I've got some silver that I brought out just in case. I might throw some of the silver in for a little shine to go along with the pearl colors. And you're not going to be able to see these at all, but they will add a little bit of interest to what we're going to do. And just blend it up. Mix it up good. See, that caught a piece of clay that would have gone on the floor. And let me get some whites, even though it's got some colors on it. I just feel like we need a little bit more white to break up some of these colors. see, what else have I got in here that's white? There's a piece of white. Just to, you know, kind of give you, what we're going to do is make some stripes. And I don't really see anything that's got much white in it. I've got some white and black. These are the old quilt squares. Remember those? I might chop one of these up. See, it doesn't matter that there's other colors with it, because what the main thing we're interested in is the white. And I think that will do it. I can't get my little kidney here. This is called a potter's rib. For those, I always get questions with every video that I use this with. This is called a potter's rib. It's just very thin metal. And I've got them in my Amazon store. If you want to look at check my link below for my Amazon influencer page. They're under clay tools. So anyway, so there we go. So now what I'm going to do is kind of press all this together. Get this over to the side and out of my way, and I'm not going to need the blade. And just start rolling. And then turn it over and roll some more. You want to get rid of all these little spaces between all your pieces of clay. And you're also working towards getting it to where you can roll it. Or maybe I'll do a different way today. Usually I roll this into a roll and twist it, but I think today I'm going to just put it through my pasta machine and see how we do. Hopefully it will work well. Which means I've got to go really thin. So it will go into my pasta machine. Of course, I'm working on glass. So every time I press it down, it sticks really well to the glass. And we're getting there, almost thin enough. You just don't want it to be so thick that it's going to strip your gears in your pasta machine. I know a lot of people just shove clay down in their pasta machine and it really wears on the gears. And the gears is what makes those ripply. You know, when you roll out your clay, put it through the pasta machine and it has these little ripples in it, it's because your gears are off. Let's try to make this kind of square. Just I know I keep saying this over and over, but this was a lot of clay, probably much more than I needed. Now let me see what this looks like running it through the thickest setting of my pasta machine. Now this end kind of ripped a little bit, so I'm just going to cut it off. As you see, the pieces are beginning to lengthen out this way. And that's the way I want to continue to do this. I'm going to, rather than cut it and fold it, I'm going to cut it in half because this is not very even. And I'm going to run it through the pasta machine again. You see how we're getting closer to having stripes? Which is what I want to do. But I would like them a little narrower than this, so I'm just going to keep going. And I will stop before they start to blend. Okay, let me look at both sides. That's really nice, but the stripes are wide. And I really don't want wide stripes, but I really like that. Just getting all these little bits of clay that come off from the edges. Actually, I think I'm going to cut those off. Let me just cut off some of these raggedy edges. Not getting all of them because that would take too much of the clay, but I've got mainly my stripes. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it and I'm going to go down to my number 3 setting, which is 5 playing cards thick. See, that makes it longer and narrows out the stripes a little bit. Now I'm going to go down to a number 5 setting, which is 3 playing cards thick. Just look at this, look at this. So I'm gonna, of course I don't need all of this. So I'm just looking for the most interesting part. And the rest I will do the other way that I told you about. That I had, there was a couple of ways where I could roll it. And I think I'm going to just cut right here. And use this, and look at all these wonderful stripes I've still got to use. Now I do need, let me get my scrap sheets, the scrap sheet out. Oh, I've cut that one. Sorry, I should have done this before. This is some purple, which sort of goes. I'm going to roll this out on a number 3. And I hope it will work because this feels like souffle. So I'm hoping this will stick to it. Okay. Then there's a couple of things we can do. We can slice this into a Barjello, which I've already done a video on. If you'll go back, I believe it was one of my early videos, which would have been 2016. I can't believe it's been that long. But I'm going to Just cut, I'll show you, I'm going to make a straight edge first of all. And I'm going to cut, and I'm not going to make these real skinny. The last one I did real skinny. But this one I'm going to do a little bit thicker. And that's what I was afraid of, being souffle. This isn't sticking very well, but hopefully each layer will. Oops, that's kind of skinny. But this is where it was when I sliced it. But I'm going to move this, and I'm going to use this white, this little white stripe right there as my guide. And just move it down just a fraction. And I'm going to make these different sizes just to make it kind of interesting. So again, there's my little white piece right there. I'm going to move that down. And I should have used something other than souffle. But we'll get this to work. I'll just have to press it down. And in this one, I'm going to start coming back up. And this is just a sample. I just wanted to show you how to do the Barjello. For those that haven't watched my other video, I'll also put the link in my description below if you want to see the full video on how to do this. Probably should have used my blade, put some cornstarch on it. But let me just bring this up for you to see. See how it's making a design? And you can just keep going back and forth. You can make long designs in it, where this one is sort of a, this one is sort of a narrow little V. You can go way up here with it. But this is Barjello, and I do like the shine. There is some shine in this, and it's from those pearl clays. But since Barjello is not what I intended to do today, I've been seeing people on Facebook and everything doing this wonderful design. I've got a little piece of clay stuck there that I don't want. Using a template. It's called a, oh shoot, I meant to look that up. It's a create something template. That was just, it's ingenious. It really is. But I got to thinking, and I'm not going to use this for my next one. I got to thinking that I had something myself, and where did I put it? Here it is. I picked this up at a thrift store, oh, probably 15 years ago. It's called a fringe cut. Wasn't sure what I would ever use it for, but it had these lines, and I thought one day I'm going to be able to use that to cut strips of clay. And one day, it's been sitting ever since in my don't know what to do pile, I guess you could call it. So I'm going to cut this in half, and this is purely a test on my part. This is not my technique. I've seen other people do this. I keep ripping the ends of my clay. It's because it's stuck to this glass. I probably should put it on some paper, but I'm going to still Actually, I will put it on some paper. I'll put it on a piece of plastic. So it doesn't keep breaking on me. But this, not only is it good for cutting straight lines, but there's a 45-degree angle marked in here. And what I have seen done is they take the 45-degree angle and go across the stripes this way. And then cut. Now these, I believe, are 1/2-inch slits. You can do it if you get the tool, and I will definitely, if I take a break, I will definitely go get the name of that tool, because it's amazing. And if you don't happen to have something like this, I would highly suggest you get that other tool. Okay, now that is cut. And this is the hard part. This is where it really should have been left on my glass. I forgot about this part. Because the hardest part is getting this up after you've sliced it. And if it's stuck to your glass, it makes it easier. And let me get a index card. See if I can slide that in there to help separate this. There we go. Let me move it. This time I'm going to leave it on my work surface. And this time you take the 95-degree angle. Let's see, this one was this way, so I want to go this way. And you just line up the L from the angle. Well, that's not going to be a good, it doesn't get all of it, so let me try it this way. Trying to get the L in the middle, which is also a 45-degree angle. And let me cut this way. I knew there was something I was missing. This is the first time I've tried it. I don't remember if I cut this one or not. I did. And don't use one of your good blades on this, because these little slits are so thin, and when you press your blade in there, if it was a good blade, it would probably dull the blade. Now, just lift this up slowly. There you go. Okay, now, again, I've got this souffle, so I don't know how this is going to work. Okay, so I'm going to start with the not with the corner, because that one was a little too difficult for me to get lined up. So I'm going to go to the next one other than the corner. Take one from this side. Then I'm going to take one from the other piece and put that next to this, and you'll see that it makes sort of like a V pattern. See how it's a V going this way? Make sure they're stuck together. Then go back to this side. See, if you look at these two are a V. And then go to this one. And that goes back the other way. But you can see where I'm headed here. And go back to the side. Hardest part is remembering which side to go back to. But this is sort of like a Barjello without having to do the Barjello. There's some silver right there that got on top of that purple. That looks pretty. I like those colors, so I'm just going to move this up. But this makes a nice veneer. Actually, I just need a short piece, so I'm going to just pull from down here. And you can fill in some of these other places if you want. You just very carefully make this straight. And I believe, see, this one is this one. So that would be this one. So let me just find a piece here that might fit in there and try to piece some of these together. Except I need to go that way. And just cut this off. And try to do the same thing at the end of each piece. Let's see. You have to continually look at your stripes to see what direction they're going. No, that's the wrong one. That's the wrong one. So I still need this side. Going down. There we go. That's going down. That's going up. Let me press this together. Anyway, you can fill in if you want these little spaces. I'm not. But this is just another veneer that you can use to make your projects. I'm going to just cut this here. And maybe there. Now this isn't the technique I've been seeing on YouTube, on Facebook, because I need to learn that one. But I think this is the first part of it. I have to watch one to see, watch a video. But there's a pretty veneer. Let me move these out of the way. Put it on the plastic so it won't stick. And then what I would do would be to roll over this in all directions with my blade to kind of help seal in these little seams. But that should do it. But this is like a larger Barjello, but this makes a gorgeous veneer. But I think that's very pretty. Before I go on to the next project, I did want to let you know, I did take a break, and I should have known this, but I've always had a hard time remembering how to pronounce his last name. But the artist that did this is Jan Montarsi. He's in Ohio, and the name of his template is the Create template. But if you go onto Facebook and search Blend Angles, all one word, BLENDANGLES, all one word, you'll find his Facebook page, and then go to his photo albums, and there's one called Blend Angles Store, and that's where you will find his template and some other things that he has for sale. He has templates to help you with Skinner blends. You know, he has templates to help you with any kind of triangle. He's really got some amazing products on his page. So I encourage you to take a look and see what you can find there. But if I had not already had this one template here, I would have definitely bought this Create template, because it does awesome work. But we've got one more project I want to show you using a template. And then I'll be, so let me get that together and I'll be right back. Okay, since I had so much of the stripy the stripy sheet left, matter of fact, I've still got a lot left, I decided to do a second Barjello type cane. And what I'm going to do, let me look at my template first. I'm going to line it up this way, and I'm going to make sure that one of these solid lines matches up with one of my cut lines, just so I know they're going to be straight. And now I'm going to cut crossways across the across the pattern, the Barjello pattern. And I'm going to trim these edges only because they may have gotten a little out of square in my burnishing and everything. So I'm just going to trim off those ends. And let these pop up one at a time. And trim off these little edges that I've trimmed off, cut off here. Alright, so now we've got the Barjello effect, and now I've cut across the Barjello. And I'm going to take one of these, and I'm going to pull it up with my blade so I don't distort. And I'm just going to lay that, I'm going to lay it on a straight line so that I can keep this straight. In case any other of you are challenged like I am. Then I'm going to take this one, the second one. I'm not twisting it or anything. I'm just going to pick it up. But what I'm going to do, this is the way they were cut. I'm going to move it up one square. And try to make sure that all of your squares are lined up. Let me just pick up this whole thing, release it from my table. And I'm going to do the same thing with this. I'm just going to move back down a square and just match up your square and just watch it as you do this. And just keep going until you've used all of your strips. I'll match it up down here this time. And doing it one square at a time, you can see if you need to pull in order to get your squares to match. Now this isn't turning out as well as Jan's did because my stripes aren't as thin, and he also stayed within the color family, like he would do all purples or all yellows and oranges or all greens, different shades, and I didn't do that. I just used scrap. So mine are not going to turn out exactly like his, which is okay. But I encourage you to watch his video and look at his examples that he's done. They're amazing. And I will put his video I think it's easier for me to start closer to me. Just try to match up your squares. And I may try this again, not using scrap, just using particular colors, just because I really liked the effect that Jan got with his video. And if you don't have the tools, like I just happen to have this one template here that I didn't know what I was going to do with. And I'm just going to lay my parchment paper on top, and I'm going to burnish. And I've been burnishing with one of these round topped marbles, but I use the flat side. Oh, and he did say don't do it in circles or you'll smear your stripes. He had a really neat way of making his stripy sheet. So I encourage you to look at his video. It will be linked below. And then you can, actually what you can do if you want is cut these pieces off. I don't know if they'll work or not. They might be going in the opposite direction. I was saying you could put them up here somewhere. Now that would fit in there. If you're like me and you're very frugal and you don't want to waste any clay, just make sure they're going in opposite directions of the ones next to it. This is just so cool. And there you go. Of course, I would continue to burnish to get these done and make sure everything is all stuck together, because you don't want to have your clay in pieces when you go to pick it up. But there you go. There is another gorgeous way to take your scrap clay and turn it into something useful. This would be very useful for a veneer to use for jewelry, for a bowl. It is really stuck right there. Let me do it this way. Probably because my blade is covered in clay and it's sticking to the other clay. But there you go. There's this design. There's, where did I put my other two? I put them aside somewhere. I usually put them on top of my pasta machine, but they're not there. Where did I put them? Okay, it's set on my side, but here are three different, using the exact same color sheet, and I still have a little piece left here. It was just a stripy sheet like this. There's Barjello. There's like a large Barjello type. This is more of a chevron type pattern. And then this, I'm not sure what it's called. I've seen it called the stripy quilt square. But there's three different ways that you can use scrap clay and have something useful, excuse me, and have something useful that you can use in other projects. So now this is this much clay that is not going to get just dumped in a box. I'm going to use it for something. So thanks very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this, and I'll be back soon with another polymer clay video. Bye-bye.